Hello budget people, and welcome back to another episode of Cash Confessions. Since I shared my own confession, I have been sent the most heartfelt confessions I've ever heard. Cash Confessions is a safe space where we can share all our worries and fears in regards to our finances. So guys, this is the last episode in this series. Hopefully there is another one, but it's all down to you guys as always. If you haven't done so already, please do not forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you are kept up to date with all of my future videos. This episode will be, as well as all of the previous episodes, uploaded onto She's on a Budget podcast. Details of where you can download and watch the latest upload is available in the description box below. If you want to be part of the next series, do click on the link. It is totally anonymous, so you do not have to worry about everybody knowing your business. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into our finale for series 1. Let's get into this week's episode. And it goes, I came into a lot of money, and it then says £, a lot. So I'm presuming this is a small amount of money. I came into a lot of money some time ago, but I have never told my family. I am so embarrassed and ashamed that I've kept it from them. It was the fear of knowing that they would lean on me for it, but not for the right reasons, and I would give in, which is why I did not say anything. May God forgive. There's so much to unpack in this week's episode. Oh my gosh, this is such a good question. And when I came across this message, I had mixed emotions about it, guys. I'm not gonna lie, because I think that if we are to look at our own individual circumstances, our own family unit, and we pose the same question, the answer may differ depending on who we are talking to. But before we go into this week's message, I do want to share with you an article that I came across in the Mirror newspaper. The title of the article states, I'm a multi-millionaire, but I hide my wealth from my family. I even have a fake flat. And I've gone through this article. It's really interesting. I will leave the link for this article in the description box below. But I have read through it, and there are certain things that this person does. I'm not saying that our listener is doing the same thing, but there are certain things that when you start to lie or when you start to hide things from people, even if it is with good intentions, because as she said, she knows her family well and that they may lean on her for the money that she has. But even if it's with good intentions, there are certain issues that can arise. So I just want to go through this article and then I'll discuss with you what I think. This person said, ever since their small business rocketed in popularity during lockdown, the anonymous entrepreneur has chosen to keep tight-lipped about their wealth. They first felt a need to remain quiet about their fortune when their parents would continuously ask for money towards their visits, even when the millionaire was on a smaller salary. So do you see why? Depending on who your family members are, depending on how they are, your answer or your decision on whether to withhold your salary may be different. His parents were already depending on him before he even became a millionaire. He then goes on to say, I'm a multi-millionaire, and when my family visit, I rent an apartment to pretend that's where I live. The first thing that I thought about here is that the lie gets bigger. When you withhold information, we're not saying that everybody needs to know your business. I'm just saying when you start down a certain path, the lie seems to get bigger and bigger. He now rents out an apartment when his parents come to visit to pretend that he is in a worse off situation than he actually is. He said after he told his family about his old salary, which was a lot lower, they fell into a pattern of where they were regularly coming over and he had to fund their visits. And he says that they started telling other family members that they should visit and saying that they will take care of them too, and they'd expect loads of gifts and for him to pay for everything every time he went out. So I wanted to kind of like share that article with you. As I said, there's a lot more to it. You can click on the link to read it for yourself, but as I said, the two things that jumped out for me was the fact that he didn't want to become a crux, should we say, for his parents or for his family. He didn't want to be the go-to person for anything and everything for his family. And the other thing is, though, as I said, the downfall to this is that you then become to start to spiral with your lie. The lie will get bigger and bigger and bigger, which is why it's not a good idea to start down that path. I think the downside to lying, other than the fact that we shouldn't lie, like, let's be clear, like, morally we should not lie. But the downside to lying is that we have to maintain the lie. That is the hard part. The hard part isn't lying. Anyone can lie. Call it a white lie, a grey lie, a pink lie, whatever you want to call it. We can bend the truth however we see fit. But trust and believe that you will be doing that for a very, very long time afterwards in order to keep up the pretense. As you can clearly see with this guy, he's actually having to, I think, maybe even pay out more money than he would need to by renting out an apartment, pretending that he hasn't got this, pretending he hasn't got that, just to keep a hold of the money. Money is definitely the root to all evil. If you feel that by sharing your truth, your wealth, or being honest about where you actually are in life. I mean, these are his parents. They're not his cousins, his brothers, and this is his parents. If you can't be honest with the people that are nearest and dearest to you, then there's something wrong. The other thing is, you are still in control of your purse strings. And I'm talking to the listener here. You are still ultimately in control with your money. I think giving has definitely taken a very sharp turn to become a negative thing nowadays, because there's been so much media of maybe the downside to giving, how people take advantage, how people can scam you and how people can lie to someone who is very giving and trusting, that we start to believe that it's become this thing that we should not do, regardless of whether it's morally correct to do so. If it was my parents, if I was in that position, and I've always said this, if I was in that position, there would definitely be a portion of the money that I have that I would set aside. And once that money's done, it's done. That is what I'd set aside to give. As a Christian myself, we have always been taught to tithe. Tithing is 10% of your income. So if you're a multi-millionaire, I mean, I'm not saying you're a multi-millionaire, but even to our listener who's coming to a little bit of money, I would set aside a certain amount and I would say, I am going to be gifting this amount to you. Before they even ask, I'd say, this is the amount I'm giving, and that is it. I wouldn't go over it, and set that in your heart. First of all, before you even tell them, set that amount in your heart, the amount that you feel comfortable, the amount that you feel is reasonable. If they are to come back to you again after you've given that amount of money for more and more and more, you say no. You say no. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Two wrongs don't make a right. Them using you for money and you lying that you haven't got the money, those things are not going to make the situation right. From your message, I can actually see that you are troubled by this. It doesn't sit right with you. Let's be honest, it doesn't sit right that you are lying. Your wealth should be celebrated. Your wealth should be a good thing. It shouldn't be something that you have to hide and lie about because you are afraid to essentially put your foot down. So for me, my advice to you, my dear, would be this. Number one, set a budget. No matter how much money we're coming to, guys, no matter how much money we have available, whether it's a lot or a little, we need to budget out our money. No matter what job it is, whether we're trying to plan a wedding, we're trying to have a child, whether we're trying to, downsize, we need to budget. We need to write these numbers down so that we have boundaries set in place as to what we are going to do with our money. Number two, and this is just my own advice that I wish to take, the reason why I believe God has told Christians to tithe is because it gets us into the habit of being giving, having a giving heart. He wants us to help each other. He wants us to bless each other, especially when you become blessed yourself. You should pass on not the whole blessing, but a portion of that blessing to the people around you. Now, it doesn't say that they are meant to rinse you dry. It's just that you should, if you love those people that are in your life, you should bless them, you know. And I think that we need to get in the habit of having a giving heart. And I'm not saying that everybody, you know, needs to start tithing. Start to think about having a category in your budget where you are giving on a regular basis, no matter how much money you have. And then if you are fortunate enough to come into money, you've already got that giving heart. You've already got that giving mindset. So you're going to just do it naturally. It's not going to become something that you're scared of or that you're fearful of, wherein then you feel you need to hide it. Number 3, honesty is always the best policy. Throughout this whole series, the one thing that I have found is that lies can hurt people. Lying is never the way forward. Lying, hiding, whatever you want to call it, misleading is never the way forward, guys. It may feel like the easy option in the first instance. It may feel like a normal thing to do in that first instance, but the maintenance of a lie is not only painful for you, but it will be painful for the person who will eventually find out. I'm telling you, it's funny how these things end up being unfolded, but they will eventually find out. It'll be more painful for those people who find out later on. I really do hope that this episode has helped not only our listener, but all of the people that have decided to tune in. Cash Confessions has really inspired me, guys. Listening to all of your stories, hearing your worries and your troubles has helped me to put a lot of my own fears around money into perspective. We're never going to get things perfect. We're never going to always get everything right. But I think that striving for perfection and striving for complete and utter assurance within our finances is something that ultimately we all want to do. And it's really given me more fuel to the fire to help as many people as I can, not just myself, in order to embark on and achieve their goals. So yeah, guys, that is all for now for this episode. It is the last in this series. Thank you for everybody who has been involved in this series, the viewers, the listeners, those of you who've decided to share your story. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. But yeah, for the final time in this series, that is She's on a Budget, over and out.